9 out of 10 people love chocolate, and the 10th person always lies. Did you know that chocolate and vanilla, it's my vanilla from my garden, but I don't have any pods at the moment. Did you know that chocolate and vanilla are fermented foods? I've got chocolate on my lip. And walking through a chocolate plantation, the smell and aroma that you get when you go through like a chocolate shop, it doesn't creep up your nostrils because it needs fermentation. Fermentation gives it that lovely aroma. There's books being wrote about how chocolate's better than sex. Well, what they do with chocolate though is we add lots of sweetness and we add lots of ingredients that sort of takes away a lot of the health benefits. Not today. We're going to start from scratch. Well, not quite. We don't have the nibs. We're going to use the actual straight cacao powder. The cacao powder is much better than, like, say, your cocoa powder, because cocoa powder is more processed. So we want to keep it as natural as possible. So just start with some of your powder. Of course, if you've made your own, if you've fermented your own beans, it's better again, but today we're doing it the quick way. So we'll just put some of that in there, and then we'll use some coconut oil. So we'll put some coconut oil in. And then if you want to add sweetness, you can. You would use like an unrefined sugar, like something like a honey. That would be really good. Or like a maple syrup or something that you use like that. But I keep mine bitter. I don't put any sweetness in there because I've got that sort of taste bud. You know, when people ask me about fermented foods, they say, you know, what is fermented foods? We know that science has hopped on board to put the connection with the happy gut, the happy mind, and that fermented foods are playing a big role in immune boosting foods. That's what they are, and it's been proven that they are, which is wonderful to have science on board with such wonderful foods like these little fellas. So how this works is, us as a human, our role is so small. We just set up the right environment, and then those mighty invisible organisms, aka the microbes, they do all the work for us. So basically, they eat out the sugars. So like with the vanilla, when that is set into like a heated environment and into boxes, those microbes, they do the work. They eat out that glucose, the sugar. So that's when you get the lovely smell, that lovely vanilla smell. These all have their own aromas too, and they're also different, and we get used to them. So what they do is, those microbes, they pre-digest the food for us. So they work like an outside gut. That's without getting sciencey. That's the really easy way to think of it. So it's pre-digested. So it's wonderful for us. So what we're going to put in there is, you could put, like I said, your sweetness. So there we have it. I'll just show it to you so you can see that it's nice, and it's a nice liquid there. Now we're going to add some brine. This case I'm adding beetroot because beetroot and chocolate just go together so well. I have a download that you can download. It's a freebie, and it has the wonderful recipe. There's 42 ways that you can make some wonderful quick chocolate recipes. Quite healthy, on the healthy side, but very tasty. There's a flourless chocolate torte, and the ingredients are beetroot and chocolate. They just go together well. So into here we're going to add some beetroot brine, which is like a beet kvass, which is like this. That's the one we shared just recently for our December foods, because that was the blood building, the blood really good for when we're going out on the town. But now we're into January, so we're now starting to set the goals. And if you have a goal, that your goal there is to, you know, reduce from all that overload that you did have with the December parties, but you still want a little bit of sweetness. This is where this is coming in. So there in goes that beetroot. Now, brines are one of the most wonderful things to use in all your food preparation. Of course, if you're going to put it into heated food, it's going to kill the good beasties. So you use it, in this case, we're not heating it, so it's perfectly fine. But what you use this for is your salt replacement. You would say, well, Linny, why are you putting salt in chocolate? Because you'll find that salt does go into chocolate, because salt is there to enhance the flavour. And this is exactly what this does, but it also gives you a bonus that's there to enhance the gut. That's what we're all about, gut loving. So the other thing that I love to put in there is some fermented ginger. And we make the fermented ginger and the fermented turmeric, and that's in a lime brine. And again, you could just add a little bit of the brine if you didn't want to have like the little chunky bits of ginger. I like the little chunky, or you could make it very fine, or you could blend it into a paste. And that way you won't have any chunkiness in there. There's so many ingredients that you can add. Things like spirulina, that's really nice to put into your chocolate. So like, as that is there now, you can make that into, just use that like as a syrup, as a liquid, and pour that over like things like, here we've got our soaked oats, our kefir soaked oats cookies, which are like for the Australians here and the New Zealanders, it's like an Anzac biscuit, which are there. And I've got the recipe for you for that in that same download. And that's really nice. You can have it like you can dip the chocolate in with your cookie, or you can actually sandwich them together, like put the chocolate there and put them as a little biscuit, and put your little cookies together as a little sandwich, which is nice. How you can do it as a chocolate is you just pour it into your moulds, or you can just pour it into a slab tray and cut them up, or use cookie cutters. But this is the easiest way, is just to pour it into little moulds and put it in the refrigerator. In the freezer is the best, and they will just come solid like that. Now that little addition into there is some little organic berries, so that way you've got like a nice little treat with a little berry in there. Or you can just use it, as I said, with the spirulina or any other additions. Chocolate and vanilla, those two fermented foods, they're just a marriage made in heaven. So that's some vanilla powder. So that's always nice to add as well. Or you can keep them as simple as you like. And you've got these lovely little chocolates that are really great. You can just sit in the freezer, and they're really good there when you want some sweetness, or you want something to serve when you've got guests coming. You've always got something. Tomorrow we'll be continuing on, and we'll be showing you more treats on how we add the sour foods to our sweetness. And we'll do things like, we've got our fermented buckwheat, and that's all nice and soft, and that's basically just been soaking in milk kefir along with the nuts. Now you can use anything to soak your nuts. If you want to be dairy free and not using something like your soured milks, you can use your kombuchas or water kefirs, things like that, or vinegars to soak your nuts. So those ones are soaked away. So that's basically the idea of soaking your nuts, is just, that sounds good, doesn't it? But soaking your seeds and your nuts and your grains is to be easy on your digestion. So it's just pre-digesting it once again. And the same with the oats. So that's like the oats, and we're going to turn those into more treats tomorrow. And your dried fruits. Now dried fruits are something that is so highly concentrated. When it's been dried, it really brings out the sugars. So just by soaking those, it not only softens them, it reduces that high level of sugar. So always soak your dried fruits. Overnight's a good time to soak them, or during the day, and then make them during the night. So there's some nice organic dried fruit, and they plump up. Like if you do, say, like a fig or a dried apricot, they'll plump up really nice, and you can actually just serve them then with something like a coconut kefir. So much that you can do with these foods to bring the sour to some sweetness. So that's what it's all about. It's the sour foods and the bitter foods. They're the foods that the foods that are less in a lot of people's diets, but they're such the healing foods, and you can add them in such small amounts, and that's our job, to show you how we can do it. Remember, go to my site, linnystein.com. The easiest way to find the freebie page, the free stuff as they call it, is just go to the About page, which is the first page on the site. Down the very bottom, you'll see a link that says free stuff. In there you go, and you'll see there's 42 ways to make chocolate. and they're step by step and they're very easy. For anyone that's in any of my programs and has like the whole ebooks, you will know that there is a Choco Bites in there, and that will show you the step by step way how to ferment your very own chocolate, which is self-sufficiency to the max. That we can ferment our own vanilla and ferment our own chocolate and, you know, be very self-sufficient. That's what we're going to be about this year. We're about leading a very simple life and not depending so much on going out and buying foods, using the foods that we have. So that's what we'll be doing in our gut club. And for anyone that's interested, on the third weekend of every month we come together. It's just $7. That's all it is to join, and there's no limit to how long you stay. For January we have a wonderful bonus where we're actually giving you access to all the books, which are over 30, which shows you how to ferment everything. There's nothing there that you can't ferment, and there's also some downloadable videos which will show you most of the families that come into that sour food, the fermented food. So, big love and bacteria.